All right, so what we're going to talk about is Michael Keaton, and he's discussing kind of Tim Burton and kind of Marvel, DC movies. Obviously, he's doing interviews and appearances ahead of Beetlejuice, his kind of new follow-up to his iconic Beetlejuice movie with Tim Burton. And let's hear what his thoughts are on kind of the superhero Marvel DC universe.
There's a strong possibility the Marvel and DC cinematic universes wouldn't exist without Tim Burton. Michael Keaton says there's a strong possibility the Marvel and DC cinematic universes wouldn't exist without Tim Burton.
I don't know if I agree with that or not. The Marvel and DC movie universe, obviously I think he's talking about kind of like in their current entity and current state, and obviously following the massive success of the MCU and Marvel and whatnot. I think he's saying this current kind of crop of Marvel, DC movies, live action movies, and success would not be possible or would not exist if it were not for Tim Burton. I believe that's what he's saying. But let's keep it going.
Keaton's casting in Burton's 1989 movie Batman was initially criticized and even protested by 50,000 comic book fans. In a recent interview with GQ, the Beetlejuice actor said this of Burton's decision to cast him as the superhero despite the uproar. Tim deserves enormous credit. He changed everything.
And, I mean, I was young when it came out, but, I'm barely born when it came out, but, like, I could see kind of the backlash to Tim Burton and his choices when he was coming out with like his interpretations of Batman, because at the time, comic book movies and comic books in general were very kind of childish and almost slapstick and over the top and cartoonish, and like they didn't think people were open to a more grounded, dark, let me say grounded, just a darker kind of interpretation on what a comic book movie could be. I don't know if Superman came out before. All right, so I got a little list here. So Superman, which I believe, started Christopher Reeves, came out in 1978. This is the big kind of, this is the iconic kind of Superman movie that like set the whole conversation about superheroes and superhero movies, and like was kind of the first one for my consciousness that like was really like setting the tone for like superheroes kind of crossing over into film and just the general popular pop culture zeitgeist and kind of becoming a mainstay, because this was the one. This was the one. People still talk about Christopher Reeves as Superman to this days and point to that as being a pivotal moment amongst film and superheroes and comic books in general. And like that came out in 1978. So let's see when Batman came out. So obviously there were like Batman TV shows that were very popular with Adam West that came out in the 60s. And that was very comic booky, very slapstick. You had like the Bam, the Pow. They basically tried to take what was on those very kitschy comic book Batman, well, those very kitschy Batman comic books from that time period and before, and then like completely just transplant it onto TV and film. And like obviously they hold a very near and dear heart to a lot of people. Adam West is an icon to a lot of people as his turn as Batman. But quite honestly, like you can see how they were kind of juvenile and almost childish and slapstick in manner, and like how they differ so much from what is happening now amongst film. And Tim Burton's came out in 1989. So like, yeah, it came out almost 11 years after Superman. So like, I don't know if I would say that he is the reason for this shift in Marvel movies, DC movies, and just superhero and comic book movies in general. But I will say that he is a big reason for like this more darker tone and like ability to go into these weird, quirky, offbeat ways that we see in certain like superhero comic book films. If you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, and other movies like that aren't afraid to go in these places. And I think he is a big part of kind of knocking down that wall that a lot of companies and production companies and directors were afraid to go in before, because as beloved as Superman was with Christopher Reeves and whatnot, it was still very much in line with his more comic book essence and self. They didn't really cross over into this grim, real world-esque. And like, quite honestly, like without Tim Burton's Batman, I'm not sure if we do get, you know, Christopher Nolan's interpretation of a more grounded, real Batman, which to me is the best superhero trilogy of all time. But like, I will give him credit in that, yes, he is a big reason why people are willing to take more risk in superhero films in general. But like, I don't know if I'll give him credit for actually being the reason for the MCU and DCEU in general.
I can't necessarily say this, but there's a strong possibility there is no Marvel Universe, there is no DC Universe without Tim Burton. He was doubted and questioned. The actor continued, he hasn't gotten himself enough credit for going, yeah, that guy. And everybody went, wait, Michael, you worked with him on Beetlejuice, right? But I think what happened was Tim saw Clean and Sober. I get the credit. I don't know that he got enough credit for making that move. That was a bold move. Looking back at his work on Batman overall, the actor said, I'm nothing but only respectful and grateful, 100%. I'm proud of it actually, because I like to prove everybody wrong. It's fun for me.
I mean, yeah, like I'll give him 1000% credit for that. Like, again, he did take chances and he did knock down like these oddball offbeat choices. Danny DeVito as Penguin, just like all these weird choices that I don't think a lot of directors would have been able to pull off, or let alone been willing to take the risk for it. And like, he went there, he fully embraced that kind of offbeat, off color world of comic books and did bring that to screen, because as much as Superman was beloved, like I said, which came out 11 years before his version of Batman, this is kind of the template for all the movies to follow. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like I might have to give him credit for that. Like, yeah, I do. I might have to agree with him now. Like, now that I keep talking about it, I might have to agree with them. There might not have been a modern kind of MCU or DC universe without Tim Burton. I might give him his flowers for that. I might agree.